this is a weekly.
Yes.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Welcome back.
Yes. Welcome back.
Sorry, guys. Julie and I were literally just fixing stuff, and we're
I know. We're like, okay, let's get going. We got this.
just to give you guys an idea of our listeners, we are set up and we have some wine. I still have some Celsius that I need to stop sleeping on.
Yeah. She's been babysitting that Celsius this morning. This is the second episode of the day.
Cheers.
Cheers.
For a little...
Oh, shite.
Okay, well, Yvette just spilled that all over herself. Great. It's great.
It's good luck. But anyways, so before we jump in, bet's a bet and a deal's a deal. And we lost the bet because, you know, it's unfortunate. But the Marlins lost. The Braves won. The About Nothing podcast won. So check them out.
I'm just gonna stay silent.
Yeah. Barrett didn't really like that you called him Mr.
Oh my God. I call like everyone.
I know. Don't take it personally.
Yeah,
Barrett.
don't take it personally.
No, but you know, he's really funny and they're all
Would he be mad if I called him Sir Barrett?
I don't know. I mean,
I'm just kidding. No, but a bet is a bet. So
yeah,
shout out to the Braves.
Shout out to them, to the Braves.
I'm still a Miami fan. I'm still a hardcore Marlins fan. All right.
Oh my God.
Just to clarify things.
We knew. Okay, we knew in our hearts, and
Julia,
I did. You know that they were gonna win.
It's okay. I thought the Miami Heat were gonna lose yesterday, and they didn't.
There you go. I know more about the Heat, basketball, all that. When it comes to baseball,
But a bet's a bet. So y'all won. All right, y'all won.
They won. Check their podcast out. They're really good friends of our podcast. They're very supportive. They're great people. And their podcast is hysterical. So give them a look. Give them a check. Check them out. They're available on all streaming in all streaming platforms.
Yeah.
Like us. And check them out on Instagram and TikTok and all the things. It's the All About Nothing podcast. So. Yeah, that's the shout out that we did promise it. Anyway, so
I'm going to get back to you once we start playing, with the Dolphins and the Heat.
With the Heat. I feel more confident in our Heat,
Julia.
I do. What? They're a Miami team?
You know, I better just adopt Julie. I guess she just wants to leave Miami,
Oh my God.
I'm just kidding. I'm just being dramatic. Did you expect anything less?
No, of course not.
Okay.
Of course not.
All right. So what are we talking about today? I actually love today's
poison control. It was your idea.
Poison control.
Yep,
my God. If I could tell you how many times poison control has saved me.
I'm sure they have. I mean, I didn't even know, like when you told me, we should do an episode on Patreon. Anyways, check out our Patreon. Now that was like a Freudian slip. Check out our Patreon. We have episodes that are a little bit less edited, a little bit more unhinged. So that's what happens there. And you'd be greatly supporting us and continuing to support our podcast. So anyways, check that out. Patreon.com/.
And thanks to everyone who's already subscribed.
Yes. / Funny Medicine Podcast. Oh, and we have a new Patreon, Barbara H. And I did say that any new Patreon that joins us, I'm going to be shouting them out. So
thanks, Barb.
Thanks. Anyway, so when you said poison control, I'm like, an episode on poison control is, I don't know how, but anyways, pretty interesting stuff. We're going to go ahead and talk about it.
Yeah. And so when I was a resident, we actually had to do a rotation through poison control. And when you call poison control, you're not just calling some random hotline that's not anyone that would know. I promise you give them the most random thing.
Yeah.
And they will give you an answer. Not only will they give you an answer,
right,
but they will call you back to make sure to follow up. And also, people did not know this, but you can also call poison control for your pets.
Yes, I found that out now too, but like it's really incredible.
Yeah.
And
it's a great thing.
It's not only in the US.
And everyone should know about it.
Yes. Not only the US has it, there's other countries that have it, and we're going to touch upon it, but it's really awesome, this resource that we have, and they're all professionals. This is not just like random people that are answering the phone.
No, these are they go through testing, like vigorous, not like vigorous like physical tests, but they actually have to study and take an exam and make sure that they are certified. And
really cool, awesome stuff. So go ahead and start it off.
All right. So what is poison control? So poison control refers to the medical service that provides immediate, free, free, okay, and expert treatment advice and assistance over the telephone in cases of any exposure to poisonous or hazardous substances. So yeah, exactly what it is. So anything that you are exposed to, that you ingest, that touches you, that is endangering anything, anyone, any pet.
Yep.
You can call poison control, let them know what's going on, and they can give you some guidance on what to do.
Yeah.
Okay. So this is obviously very important. Like, how many times do we come across things that we're like, oh, I don't know if that's okay or not?
Exactly. And even it's really important with kiddos too, because
with
that
kids,
kiddos are always sticking themselves where they don't belong and putting everything and anything in their mouths.
Yeah. And eating things that don't belong to them.
Yeah. And
Like cat
again,
food.
free. Oh yeah.
No, don't worry. Nora hasn't done that, but I'll die. Yeah.
Check out our episode on toxoplasmosis. Anyway, a big thing here. It's free, guys. Okay, so even if you have the smallest doubt, call them. It's free.
Yeah, and anyone can call, by the way. It's not just, medical professionals.
No.
You can call. So
yeah. It's meant for the public.
It's meant for the public, exactly. So poison control centers, they're specialized units that offer guidance on prevention, diagnosis, management of poisonings. These centers basically play a really crucial role to the public health by offering emergency advice to both general public and healthcare professionals, compiling data on toxic exposures, and contributing to the understanding of prevention of poisons. So this is when they first told me about poison control, I didn't know to the extent that poison control went. I've had times where poison control will tell me, hey, you need to order a CMP, you need to order a blood gas, and you need to do that in 6 hours again.
Wow.
And these are the symptoms that you're going to see.
Right.
And they give you treatment and management.
It's amazing, yeah.
Which is great. It's not just like, hey, they'll be okay. You should probably order some blood work and maybe repeat it later. No, they're very specific and they follow up with you, which is really important too. So again, poison control centers, they offer a lot of stuff. So it's answering questions about potential poisons, again, the treatment management, and it can go from medicines to pesticides, plants, bites, stings, food poisonings, different fumes. In the US, more than 72% of poison exposures are managed over the phone, which is significantly reducing the need for emergency department visits and, at the end of the day, lowering healthcare costs.
Exactly. That's why it's a really good resource to have, guys. It's not going to cost you something by calling them in and asking them, hey, my kiddo went into the kitchen sink and maybe ingested such. They may be able to help you out, and you may not have to go to the ER with advice or treatment plans that they give you through the phone.
And they can give you a lot of advice. So even if you don't know, let's just say you took something, if you describe to them what you took, they can also give you an idea of what is it that you most likely took.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, exactly. You're not really sure what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And same thing for fumes too, because sometimes that happens. I mean, it's a fume. You know, and you're like, oh man, I'm feeling a little dizzy after I smelled that or whatever. And then do you need to go to the hospital or not? They'd be able to tell you.
Oh my God. I can imagine some person like high on fumes calling poison control. I don't feel so good.
No. So how did it smell like?
Well. So as of January 2023, only 47% of the WHO member states had poison centers. So what does that mean? That means that the development of these services, especially in regions such as Africa, Eastern Mediterranean, and Western Pacific, basically need more of these services. So poison control centers are recognized as a priority for improving chemical safety and public health. And it also contributes to the national capacities for implementation of the international health regulations.
Yep. So really important. I feel like, well, yeah, it's just really important for public health. So that's why they're trying to make this more of a global, try to provide it as far-reaching as possible.
Yeah. So in the United States, there's 55 poison centers providing services to the entire population, and it's staffed by medical professionals trained in poison emergencies. So they actually have to take their own boards.
Yeah.
So these centers are accessible 24/7, 365 days of the year. Okay. And their number is super easy. It's 1-800, like every other public phone number.
In the U.S. at least.
In the U.S., it's 222-1222. Okay. super easy. 222-1222. And then they have magnets that they can send you. So you can have it on the refrigerator.
Yeah.
They have stickers. I mean, it's pretty easy number, but if you go to any clinic or any emergency department, you're going to see it.
Yeah.
So that's how often we're using all these things.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So a little bit on the history of it, because I'm like,
where did it come from?
Yeah. Now that it's so recognized. So the history of poison control centers dates back all the way to the early 20th century. There was no modern specialty for toxicology back then, so there was no oversight of pharmaceutical manufacturing or even labeling of just drugs in general. And there was very little knowledge regarding the treatment of poisonings here, at least in the US at that time. So the concept of poison control began to take shape in response to the growing number of accidental poisonings, especially among young children. I mean, if you are a parent or you've even just taken care of kids for a second, you just know that they are just looking.
Oh God, what did they eat?
Exactly.
What did you eat right now?
Yeah, it's just.
I can't tell you how many times to my daughter I'm like, abre la boca.
Me too.
Like, open your mouth.
Me too.
Did you eat something? And they don't tell you anything. Then they're scared and they're like, I probably did eat something, but I'm not going to tell you.
Yeah. And they might even swallow it at that point because they're like, I don't want you to see it.
Yes.
Oh, boy.
And they know it's not just that something that they found on the floor. I've taken care of kids where they climb up to the the medicine cabinet.
Yeah, that's it.
And they take out these little bottles and somehow, some way, because kids are super, super kids.
I know.
They open these bottles of medication.
Spider monkeys.
And they take these medicines.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
They
think it's like candy.
Exactly. And then this rapid increase of new drugs and chemicals in the marketplace after World War II just exponentially increased the need for, this service to actually happen. So in the US, the first formal poison control information service was established by Louis Gedalman. I'm going to go ahead and say it like that. And he was a pharmacist at St. Luke's Hospital in Chicago during the 1930s. So he became a go-to resource for physicians all over the U.S. dealing with cases of acute poisoning, as he had extensive knowledge in pharmacy and chemistry. And then by the 1950s, he had developed an extensive library on the management of acute and chronic poisoning. So this guy was just it.
What was his name?
Louis Gedalman.
Lewis. So can you imagine, you're a doctor back then in the 1930s, which I don't even think that they had any telephones back then.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how that would work for the poisons, but can you imagine?
I'm wondering, what about the one with the
telegram?
No.
All the operators? Maybe that. Maybe they did do that. But can you imagine? It's just like they pick up the phone and they're like, hey, Louis. Louis, listen. I got this lady.
Hey, G-Man.
Yeah, G-Man. Louis. What's up?
Dr. G, what's up, man?
Have you seen Monsters Incorporated?
Yes.
When they're like talking and they're like walking down the street and they're like, ba, 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 ba.
I love it.
They're so funny.
God,
okay, well, that was a...
Yeah, no, it's going to happen. Yeah. If you know us by now, you know plenty of these
so
are
it's
going to
like
happen.
they call up Louie and they're like, hey, Louie, I got this lady here and, she told me she took some medication.
Back then they were doing like freaking cocaine and everything.
Yeah, and it was actually her husband's.
Oh, Lord.
Or, she actually ate a piece of cake so this is actually a real story.
Okay, tell me.
Okay. This was Mike's patient.
Okay.
So it was this lady and where he did medical school, the hospital that this person was admitted to.
Funny, this is in Chicago too.
Yeah, I know. From Chicago. So he had a patient that the man went home, okay? And he saw that there was cake on the table, right? So what do you do when you see cake on the table? You have a slice of cake.
Oh, shit, great.
Right? Yeah. So he ate the cake. And then when the wife came in, she saw that there was some of the cake missing. Okay. And this is a real story.
Oh, my God.
And when the wife saw that there was a piece of the cake missing, she was looking around and she didn't see anywhere else that missing piece of cake. And then she saw her husband and she's like, did you eat a piece of that cake? And he's like, yeah, it was delicious. Like, why? And she's like, so I guess where they lived, there was a lot of rats. So what she did is that she put rat poison in the cake so that the rats can eat the cake and die.
But why in a cake?
So this guy got admitted to the hospital because he ate rat poison. Yeah. No,
Are you sure this wasn't a cover-up story?
I don't know. I told him the
Come
same
on.
thing. I told him the same thing. I was like, I don't know about that. Maybe she was just done with that relationship.
Yeah. And then for whatever reason, he's like, you know what? I'll cover for your ass, because you didn't kill me.
But imagine we're telling this to Louis G-Man.
Oh, yeah.
We're here.
Yeah,
Louis.
it's
So I have
Dr.
this
G
woman
here. Yeah.
And she mistakenly put rat poison in the cake, and her husband was, he was really hungry and it looked real good and he ate a piece of it. Louis was probably like,
I think this is grounds for a divorce, bro.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
First of all, get a lawyer.
Yeah.
Second of all, he'll be fine.
Yeah, I would.
Maybe not.
I wouldn't live there anymore, bro.
Yeah.
No, man. All right, that's my medical advice. Ciao.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. See you later. Bye, G-Man.
I'm sorry, man, but dang. Rats eat anything. Rats eat anything. You don't need to make an elaborate cake.
I guess
dress it
that's why
up.
she did it. She was like, you know what? I'm going to get these motherfuckers and I'm going to make the world's tastiest cake and I'm going to leave it out in the open.
Okay, this is either bullshit or...
I call bullshit.
I call bullshit too. Or Mouse Hunt. The movie Mouse Hunt.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of my favorite movies of all time.
Ooh, I need
One
to
of my
watch
favorite movies of
that.
all time. Yeah.
I remember that movie.
Dude,
That was good.
Still to this day, I laugh like an idiot. Still to this
yeah,
day.
yeah.
And when I was a kid, I was just like belly up laughing all the
same.
time.
That was a great movie.
But yeah, unless you have like that mouse, unless it's that. But if it's not, then I don't know, man. Anyway, that sucks for that poor guy.
Yeah.
Jesus
He
Christ.
was like, you motherfucker. Yeah. Fed me poison.
Yeah.
She's like, you fed yourself poison.
I mean, she's technically not wrong.
It was like me with the syphilis story. The computer said you have syphilis. Check out what
did it.
episode was that?
I don't
It was
know.
our syphilis episode.
It's our syphilis episode. I don't know what number it is, but you should check it out because that episode was awesome. But yeah, anyways, back to poison control. So the first official poison control center in the U.S. was recognized in November 1953 at the Presbyterian St. Luke's Hospital in Chicago. So this model spread nationwide, and by 1957, there were 17 poison control centers in the U.S., with the Chicago Center serving as a model. So, hey,
Have you ever been to Chicago?
no, I've been really wanting to go there.
Yeah, I've never been. I want to go. Okay, sorry. That was just
No,
a
I
random-
mean, no, I really
Guys,
do
you
want
know,
to go.
this is a podcast. We're just conversing here, okay?
This is part of our charm, okay?
If anyone has been to Chicago, though, tell us your favorite places and favorite restaurants because I heard that Chicago food is on another level.
Legit. It's
I get reminded every day.
I know you Chicago people are gonna hate me, but I've heard, but I've heard that it's like up there in the level of like New York, and foodie type of culture, type of situation.
Not Miami. Okay.
Because Miami's getting there. Because thanks to the New Yorkers that are flocking down here, like they're doing some pretty good stuff.
Okay. True.
So
true.
there, we're working on it.
We have hope. We have hope.
Yeah. We're working on it. Anyway, so these centers initially dealt mainly with physician inquiries by providing ingredient and toxicity information about products along with treatment recommendations. So in essence, back then, it was just meant for doctors to call the center and be like, hey, Dr. G, she ate the fucking cake. I mean, she made the cake. He ate the cake. What do we do?
Yeah.
I
love how this is our example.
I know it's the cake.
Oh God, the cake. If your girl ever makes you a cake, you don't eat it. Especially after a fight.
Yeah.
And your partner. If your partner ever makes you a cake after an argument, don't come at us and tell us we didn't warn you.
We are clearly warning you here, man. Like, really. Anyway, so the American Association of Poison Control Centers was created in 1958 to promote the cooperation between poison centers and to initiate poison prevention and education programs. The establishment of this program marked a significant step in the coordination and standardization of poison control services across the country. So throughout the 1960s and 70s, the number of poison control centers grew rapidly, peaking at 661 centers by 1978. So rapidly.
Which is great.
It's amazing. However, unfortunately, this trend reversed in the 1980s and 90s, with many centers closing or merging due to the development of national standards and accreditation processes, which were expensive to implement. And then by the 2000s, there were 51 certified centers. And as 2006, there were 55 centers operating in the US. So that's how we got to 55 now. But I mean, there's more training involved.
They're tested, it's a board,
Yeah.
and they showed me their books that they study from. We're talking about
Extensive study.
extensive studying. Imagine you are dealing with a phone call and you have to respond. They know it's not like something that's like, no, I tried calling poison control and they didn't pick up.
No.
I've never heard that.
Nope.
Ever.
No, that's
ever,
what
ever,
happened.
ever.
And then you're dealing with it blindly too.
Yeah, blindly. You don't know. And truly sometimes so that day that I was at poison control, I sat next to a poison control operator.
Right.
So we heard all the calls
That's awesome.
coming in.
Yeah.
And there were people that were like saying, hey, so I got this paint thinner on me.
Oh, geez.
And it's burning.
Of course.
And then, so right there, you're like, okay, well, you have to do this and that. And what's the actual this? And they tell you it's an acid, it's a base.
Yeah.
Like they give you information.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's incredible. But yeah, so they have to, the fact that they have to deal with all of that blindly without seeing anything at all. This is not a video call. These are not photos.
And again,
nothing.
free.
Yeah.
Free. There's nothing free in this world.
No.
Except for poison control.
I mean, our taxes pay for it,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
you know, but in essence, it's free.
In essence, it's free.
You're paying for it already with your taxes.
Can
so,
you imagine if you did not have poison control?
Yeah, that's a scary world.
Like what it says, it like it limits the amount of ED admissions that
it
like
helps.
one needs.
Yeah, with the number. Yeah, the incoming number. Yeah, for sure. So, poison control centers have significantly impacted the U.S. healthcare by developing and implementing medication safety caps. So, establishing limits on the number of children's aspirin tablets and other over-the-counter medications and packages, and encouraging federal regulations to reduce the number of iron tablets in a container. So, they are more far-reaching than just a phone call. They are actively involved in how are these drugs packaged, how are they sold, how are they labeled, all these things.
And I think that the iron situation comes in the fact that you can overload on iron.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
A lot of the vitamins that people take, like vitamin B12 and all these things, are water soluble.
Right.
So if you take a lot, usually you pee it out. Water soluble, right?
Yeah.
However, things like iron, sometimes if you have way too much iron, you need to have a lot of procedures to lower the amount in your body. So when you have iron in pills, unfortunately, kids think that pills are candy.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I think that's where it's coming from. It's like they're trying to limit the number of iron tablets in a container, in a whole entire container, just in case that there's someone out there that thinks that whole entire case is to be like taken like candy.
Exactly. To at least limit. Exactly. So because of all of that, the Poison Prevention Packaging Act of 1970, which requires certain products to be packaged with child-resistant packaging, is one of the most significant pieces of legislation influenced by the work of the poison control centers. So today, poison control centers are staffed by medical professionals who specialize in toxicology and are available 24 hours a day to provide guidance and assistance to anyone exposed to toxic substances. They have demonstrated nearly 80% of human exposures can be managed at home. So 80%. You don't have to go to the ER. They could be managed from home. And that'll save you time and a trip and aggravation and everything that comes with going to an ER.
No, it's just, it decreases the burden.
100%.
How many times have you walked into an ER and it's a 4-hour wait?
100. That's what I'm saying. Like the aggravation of staying there, then the stress,
and
so
the
many
ED
things.
people, they're wiped out.
Yeah.
Another team that works very blindly, you know?
Exactly. So then poison control centers also play a vital role in public health exposure concerns such as bioterrorism responses. So remember when we had the anthrax scare? So they played a pretty big role on that. And then in addition to traditional telephone-based services, modern poison control centers have embraced technology. And they've introduced online tools such as web poison control, which provides case-specific guidance for poison exposures based on various factors such as age, weight, amount, route, symptoms, status, and substance involved in this. Yeah, so that's a little bit of the history on it, and go right ahead.
So thank you, Jules, for that history lesson.
I like to add.
I know. I actually really love that we add the history to a lot of things because it gives us
like where to come
more. Yeah, and it gives us more depth to what we're talking about.
Exactly.
So I'm going to talk about now when should you call poison control? Okay. So, one, if someone has been poisoned or may have been poisoned, okay, you need immediate, expert, and confidential guidance on how to respond. So, a minute that I just want to take on the confidential. Everything that you say with poison control is confidential.
Yeah, it's still protected by HIPAA.
So, exactly. So, let's just say you do something illegal, okay?
Yep.
And it affects, and it is a poison to you, okay? Like if you're doing something illicit, okay? You can call poison control to make sure that you don't need to go to the ED.
You took a little bit too much of
Something
that you weren't supposed to,
Yes.
maybe.
So you can call poison control and you can feel safe in the sense that it's not something that they are going to report you.
They're not going to write you out, guys.
So, okay, 2. If the individual has swallowed something that might be poisonous, splashed on a product in their eye or skin, inhaled fumes, okay, or if there's any concern about a potential poisoning. So a lot of people don't think about the inhaled fumes.
Yeah.
But remember, when you are inhaling a fume, that's like if something splashed inside your organs.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So that can cause damage. That could cause, problems down the line, like strictures and other things that you don't want. So
Guys, if you get high off of smoking something, fumes will do the same thing.
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And it's the same process of smoking. If you smoke weed or just cigarettes, whatever, pick it. But you're smoking something, it's going to give you an effect, right?
Yeah.
Same route.
Yeah. And then
Take it for fumes.
Exactly. And a lot of these things can cause like corrosive damage too. So just the human body is very sensitive. So you don't want to put anything acidic or too basic into your tissues and mucosa, because at the end of the day, all of those things can be really damaged by some products. Okay. And yes, sometimes, a lot of the times, the person will be okay. However, that does not mean that you will not have complications from it in the future.
And if you're anything like us with Hispanic parents,
they
go ham on mixing cleaning chemicals, and then it's like, why am I dizzy? Well, because you mixed bleach and ammonia.
No, or my mom's favorite thing to do is put a liquid of something into another bottle.
Exactly.
And not write what it is.
Nope.
Okay, so here I am just spraying it on shit.
Yep.
And, and my mom's like, oh, no. And the best part is my mom comes into the room and she sees me with that bottle and she's like, what did you do with that? What? That's like corrosive bleach. Like,
why do we have it?
Like bleach straight from the manufacturer. And I'm like, why is it in a vinegar bottle? Like, what? It is so her. And I'm sure that a lot of people can relate to me here.
Yeah, it doesn't even have to be like Cuban. You could be Hispanic or somewhere.
Or anything.
I don't know. But
you
like
got that parent that puts things in other bottles and doesn't tell you.
Well, I sometimes get home and my mom is going on a cleaning spree and she's like, oh my God, I can't. I'm like, oh, okay, well, what's going on? I open the door to the bathroom. Pick a bathroom. We got 2 only in my room. I mean, in my room. In our house, we only have 2. Open the door and it's just bleach.
Yeah, like hits you in the face.
Like, it's like even with that sound, like bleach. Like, and I'm like, how are you not fainting? Like, how did this? I'm like, of course you can't breathe. Like, how many chemicals did you? No, it's just Clorox. And I'm like, yeah, there's a lot more than just Clorox in here, woman.
And I love it because they're the first ones to mix all these things and to use excessive amounts, but they're like, don't go in there. Don't go in there. That's really bad for you. No, I can't. Don't wear that perfume, Julie, because eso me da asma.
I'm like,
what about the manufacturer grade Clorox?
Yeah, and most Clorox like sprays that you buy in a bottle, they're mixed like with water and then a certain amount of bleach or whatever. Our parents, or at least, no. When that finishes, straight bleach goes into that. So then that happened to me just last weekend. I came back, there was dirtiness from the dogs, you know, so I live in a house full of bleach. So I grab one of these thinking that, you know, it's fine. It feels full.
Yeah.
Great. Start spraying. I'm like, God damn it. This is like strong. I mean, it's the same brand I always buy. And then, like, you know, I'm like, they're spraying and my mom comes in. She's like, why are you using that one? And I'm like, because I'm cleaning. What do you mean? And she said, no, get out of here. I got this. I filled it up yesterday. And I'm like, well,
Okay,
no,
well,
that explains that.
Thank you for that information.
Straight from the bottle, bleach, just straight
just
bleach.
straight
I'm like,
in there.
Mom, you gotta mix it with a little bit of water. Like, there's no like,
Or at least just write it. Just
yeah,
write it on the
just
bottle.
write
Pure
it.
bleach.
even though
Pure death.
with the cross.
With a cross, yeah. Just pure death. Use at your own risk.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah. So if you guys know of that, experience that, yeah, we feel you. Anyway, so don't do that.
All right.
Don't mix bleach and ammonia
Yes.
or any of that.
All right, the next one is right up my alley. So if you're worried your child has swallowed something potentially harmful, including common household items like batteries, essential oils, and medications. So kids are infamous for being curious. Half the time, I have to tell the parents, like, it's because they're kids. And
Yeah,
kids
they're
are
curious.
going to be curious. They're going to be like, oh my God, look at that color. That's awesome. And put it in their mouth. So,
Yeah.
and they're going to eat it and they're going to want to taste it. And sometimes they spit it out because it's bitter. And then sometimes they don't because it tastes liquidy and
they don't care.
weird, and they don't care. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, okay. And then another reason, skin contact with a poison, such as a kid playing with a potentially dangerous substance, or if there's concern about a bug bite or a sting. So if you're in the middle
Yeah.
of a camping trip
Yeah.
and you get bit by a snake, you can call poison control.
Yeah. And they'll tell you what to do.
Yeah, they'll tell you what to do.
It's crazy. It really is.
It's incredible what these people do. Like,
I know.
you know?
I know. And it's like, you don't even have to, don't worry about, oh, I didn't see the snake, but it looks like a snake bite. Just call them.
Yeah, and honestly,
help.
sometimes I tell, like, I have also had patients tell me, like, well, what happens if they don't know what to do? And then I'm like,
They'll tell you to go to the ER, bro.
that's what I'm saying. Like, what's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
Tell you to go to the ED? Like, you were going to probably do it anyway.
Exactly. So what difference does it make? Just
Exactly.
do that first. No, or do that while you're driving to the ED, you know, maybe.
Exactly. Anything.
Yeah.
All right, another one. If someone has inhaled poisons or which could include fumes, household cleaners, insecticides, herbicides,
Yeah.
and airborne pathogens. Okay, so not only poisons, just if you inhale something that's like a pathogen,
It's a little sus.
yeah, it's like a little sus. You can call them.
Yeah, you can. You can.
So another thing, you know, if there's eye contact, I think that's a really big one.
Yeah.
A lot of things can splash into people's eyes, and it doesn't just have to be like things, okay? Like it could be like metals.
Fucking knew it.
What?
But you're like, splash to the eyes. What?
I don't know. What are we talking about here?
Dirty minds, bro.
No, I know. That's why I was like, I don't know what's splashing into people's eyes, but it's not in my eyes.
Right, but I hear him and then it's like,
Of course.
Of
Mario.
course.
Mario, of course.
of course.
All right. So, anyways, so even if you are doing some sort of work and you get something in your eye, like even if it's like a metal or something like that, like they can advise you what to do. Okay. Julie's laughing. I don't know why Julie's laughing.
Nothing at all.
Oh God. Okay. So, and then obviously the obvious, if you're concerned about anything that's going to stop your breathing, collapse, or you're going to have
Christ,
a
yeah.
seizure, for the
Please.
love of God, don't call poison control. Call 911.
Just 911.
Yeah.
Straight.
Do
Do not pass go.
not pass go. Exactly. Just call 911. Okay.
So yeah, like we said, they provide free, expert, and confidential help 24/7 and can guide you through the appropriate steps for any incident that you may have. So some common symptoms of poisoning, right? So we're talking about poison control and all this poisoning. So maybe you've never experienced like an actual something to concern you before. So check this out. Anyway, so common symptoms obviously they're very, widely spread.
Yes. This is very vague.
different. Really, at the base of it, if you feel different after something has occurred, after you inhaled, after you smelled something, whatever it is, you should at least call poison control. Again, it's free. Just give it a call. And give them a shot. Give them a call. But anyway, some of these symptoms could be feeling and being sick. So like nausea, vomiting, of course, diarrhea, stomach pain, drowsiness, dizziness, or weakness. That could definitely huge sign for anything inhaled or actually ingested. Loss of appetite, headache, irritability, difficulty swallowing. Okay, I feel like that's probably a 911 trigger at that point. Breathing difficulties, another 911 trigger for sure. Producing more saliva than normal, skin rash, blue lips and skin. Do not pass go. Burns around the nose or mouth, double vision or blurred vision, mental confusion, seizures, loss of consciousness, and in very severe cases, coma. Yeah. So definitely somebody will have to call 911 for you.
So if you feel anything weird, okay, no, I'm just kidding. Yeah. Just because you feel something doesn't mean that you're probably poisoned.
Obviously not. But if you got like a bite or
yes, exactly. If you have an idea, like if you question something and you start getting symptoms
and then these things start happening, then
and a lot of the time it's not just like, hey, I'm feeling dizzy. Man, that can mean a lot of things to me. But if you tell me that you are feeling dizzy, you are having increased saliva, and it's not just increased saliva, just like other secretions from your body. So like maybe you're sweating more, you're tachycardic, you're having like a bunch of like different things. It's more of a combination of symptoms that I'm like, did you take something you weren't supposed to take?
Yeah. So exactly. So additionally, more specific types of poisonings can have, of course, more unique symptoms. So like, for instance, carbon monoxide poisoning is usually characterized by headaches, dizziness, weakness, upset stomach, vomiting, chest pain, and confusion. So like, just as she said, combination of these things, And then food poisoning symptoms, typically, a lot of the times they include upset stomach, diarrhea, vomiting, and fever. I know that most of us have experienced food poisoning in some way, somehow.
It's terrible.
It's horrific. It's awful. Horrific. So it's important to take note that symptoms of poisonings can sometimes mimic those of other conditions, making it crucial to consider the context of exposure and to seek immediate medical advice if poisoning is suspected. So yeah.
All right. So treatments for poisons, that just depends on what you have. Okay. Every treatment is completely different. It depends on, did you ingest it? Is it topical? Did it get in your eyes? Did you inhale it? But again, so depending on what the exposure was is what the treatment will be. So here's just some general approaches on specific treatments. Okay. General, guys, general. All right. 1, immediate medical help. So either 911, okay, if you feel like it is a true emergency, like life or death, okay?
Yep.
Now, if you don't think that it's life or death, but you do feel like it's related to an exposure, then call a poison control center. So 1-800-222-1222.
Yep.
Okay? All right, so stabilization, all right? Check and monitor the person's airway, breathing, and pulse, okay? These are the typical ABCs that everyone talks about. So begin rescue breathing and CPR if necessary. If I could recommend anything for anyone, is take a CPR class.
It is so useful.
It is so incredibly useful because even if you haven't taken a CPR, you haven't had to use it.
Yeah.
Just knowing the general idea of what to do is really important.
Exactly.
And you can potentially save a life.
Exactly.
Okay?
Yeah.
So that is something that I feel like everyone should take. I don't even know how in high school they give us pottery and not CPR.
It's BS. It's like, BS.
Why do you need to teach me about pottery? How about you teach me how to act in case of an emergency?
I don't give a shit about the Pythagoras theorem.
Yeah.
It served me 0 times.
I know.
0 times.
I mean, that could be, that could be, a lot of people can fight you on that. But pottery?
Pythagoras theorem.
I know, but isn't that like part of like
it's trigonometry?
Trig? Yeah, I hated trig.
The Pythagoras theorem. I don't need to know the hypotenuse or the leg of a fucking triangle every day. That's literally what it is. Like,
I love the way that Julie says things. Hypotenuse? Is it hypotenuse?
I don't know now.
I don't know either. It could just be me thinking that it's hypotenuse and it's not. So
whatever, bro.
I just love how Julie and I pronounce things differently.
Oh yeah, and we're from the same place, born and raised in the same town.
Same town, yeah.
But anyway.
All right. So after you call your emergency person, okay, then you stabilize the person. Then you can move on to maybe decontamination. Okay. I cannot stop thinking about Monsters Incorporated.
I know.
When they decontaminate.
Oh my God, what's
and
the
they
code?
like drill it, and
Oh
they're
my
like,
God.
oh, what is it?
We have when they call, they're
I
like,
know code. I don't know.
no,
But
I need to know now.
they like drill it down
Ask
into the
Siri.
hole, and they just like explode
Ask
something.
Siri. I think it's 2319.
I think it could be. Hey Siri, what's the emergency code for Monsters Incorporated?
In Monsters Incorporated, 23 to 19 is the emergency
That's
code
it.
used when there is
Code 2319. 2319.
And then they have the sock.
So he's stuck. And
then
they
they
put it on
shave
the
'em.
floor. They like drill protection, and then it just explodes.
They shave the
Yeah, then
shit
they're
out
like,
of 'em.
yeah, I know. They shave the shit on him. They're just like dusting off the little dust. It's so good. So decontamination or code 2319.
Or in Wally when it's like foreign
I
contaminant.
haven't seen Wally. I know. Everyone tells me the same thing.
I fucking love Wally.
I know, and I feel like I would really love Wally too.
You would.
I know.
Oh my God, you would.
I have to.
And then it's like there's a little
I'll watch it
robot.
with Nora. I'll watch it with because Nora
Please.
really loves robots.
Please. Oh my gosh, she'll love it. Anyway, there's like a little robot that he's like a decontamination robot. And then, of course, Wally comes from planet Earth where it's all dirty. And then he goes to like a very sterile environment. So then you see like the little sterile like robot going after him. And he's like, foreign contaminant. Foreign contaminant. It's the cutest. Even.
I know. I need to do it. I need to watch it.
Okay.
All right. So depending on the type of exposure, you can do decontamination methods. So it can include removing contaminated clothing, flushing of the skin with water, rinsing the eyes. So yes, if you get something on your skin, most likely they're going to tell you wash it off with water.
But
Okay.
you should contact them
You should
because
contact them. Yeah.
sometimes water will make it worse.
Yeah, it'll spread
Depending-
or something.
Depending on the chemical that
Yeah.
you're using. I remember
And-
from like chem class.
In chem
like,
class, yeah. Remember the eye wash stations?
Yes.
It was disgusting. Those eye wash stations had like dust all over them.
yeah,
and
nobody
I'm like,
used
could
them.
you at least dust it off?
I know, like make it look a little.
Yeah, it's like if I ever need to use it, they're gonna pop up and I'm gonna have a cloud of dust go into my eyes.
It's gonna make it worse.
It's gonna make it worse.
You're gonna end up with an infection
It's
after the chemical
disgusting.
burn.
Yeah.
Oh God, I know.
Never.
Awful.
And I used to have to give these tours when I worked at the stock room.
Really?
Yeah, so I used to do the tours of if you're on fire, don't put water on yourself because it'll
Yeah.
just only like further ignite yourself to the hell's fires. So no.
The funniest meme like happening in my brain right now.
Yeah. So I used to give these tours and I would look at the eye wash stations and I was like, Jesus Christ, I need to dust this. Yeah. And then sometimes people would put shit like trash in the eye wash station.
I know, I remember that. Yeah.
Anyways, activated charcoal. So this is a big one that we use, okay? That's basically, we give that for things that are ingested. It's basically, charcoal is like a sponge. So it's administered to absorb the poison in the GI tract, and then it prevents its absorption into the bloodstream. And it's most effective when it's given within 1 to 4 hours, okay, of ingestion. Obviously, if you ingest something and it lands in your stomach,
Yeah.
there's only a matter of time before that's going to go into your bloodstream.
Just the sooner the better, guys.
And then whole bowel irrigation. So it's used for certain type of ingestion, such as large quantities of medications and substances that are absorbed and then activated by charcoal. It basically involves flushing the GI tract with polyethylene glycol electrolyte solution. This is basically a washout.
Okay.
So polyethylene glycol, I'm not sure if you know, but that's Miralax.
Oh, okay. Perfect.
Yeah. So you just flush your system out with just a shit ton of laxatives.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So specific treatments and antidotes. So NAC and acetylcysteine, that's what we use for Tylenol poisoning, okay, or acetaminophen. I shouldn't say Tylenol. Atropine and prelidoxime, okay, so 2-PAM. We use that for pesticides called organophosphates and carbamates. Basically, atropine is going to reduce the symptoms that you're like excessive sweating, excessive salivation. That's what I was talking about before.
Yeah.
And then prelidoxime is going to work to restore the normal function of the enzyme in the body that the poison blocked.
Got it.
I know
Does
it's like a little hard, but
does that happen to you when you feel like you're about to like throw up or something like that, like the excessive salivation?
yeah.
Yeah, me too.
That's
too.
your body preparing to throw up too.
Right. Because I've heard sometimes, like I heard it in a different podcast, like sometimes like no, like it just goes very, very dry for some people. But for me, it's like excessive salivation. And I'm like, oh, that's it. There's no turning back from this.
Yeah, that really sucks.
Coming. That's horrible, man.
Yeah.
Horrible.
All right, so toxicity. So digoxin, basically you have an immunoglobulin, so an antibody that blocks it. So dig is a drug that we use a lot for heart failure and atrial fibrillation, and that makes the heartbeat stronger with more of a regular rhythm. So there's an antidote for digoxin toxicity, which binds to dig and then makes it inactive. So that's kind of what you use. Flumazenil, that's super common. We use that for benzos, benzo overdose. Naloxone, Narcan. Very famous. Narcan, okay, that's if you think someone has an opioid overdose, you're just gonna stick them with Narcan. And the reverse is like,
I know.
It's fast.
Look it up in TikTok, guys. You'll get a laugh because people have done really funny skits on that, and it really works like that. You know, they're just like passed out or whatever it is,
and then they're pissed,
and then they're just like,
like, and then they're literally pissed.
Of course,
they're pissed when you take them out of that.
Of course, of course you are. I mean, of course they are.
Calcium, glucagon, insulin, dextrose, all of those can be used for beta blockers and calcium channel blockers. Those are all also medications. Okay. So calcium and glucagon are going to increase your cardiac pumping, okay, the contractility. And then while insulin and dextrose are going to facilitate the glucose uptake into the cells. So it improves your overall cardiac function. Chelation therapy, this is what we were talking about with the iron overload. And that's not just for iron, that could be for heavy metals too. So that could be lead, mercury, arsenic. You want to do the chelating agents when it binds to metals, allowing them to be excreted from the body.
Yeah, okay. Arsenic's a real bad one.
Yes.
So supportive care, ventilatory support for patients experiencing respiratory distress or failure. Obviously, that's when they put you, oxygen support and all that good stuff. So seizure management. Anti-seizure medications are given to patients if you start experiencing a seizure because of these, chemicals in your body. And then symptomatic treatment. So managing the symptoms such as pain, nausea, agitation, all these things because of the chemicals. So it's crucial to identify the poison and its effects accurately to administer the proper treatment. And in many cases, poison control can provide specific advice on managing a poisoning incident. So I wanted to know what was like the most common types of like calls that poison control, because there's got to be so many.
There's so many,
yeah. So apparently the most common poison control calls involve exposures to medications. So OTC, all that stuff. So in children, the most frequent exposures are to cosmetics, believe it or not, and personal care products, cleaning substances, and laundry products, because of course there's also these stupid trends online of like eating Tide Pods and BS like that makes absolutely no sense.
TikTok.
Yeah. And then of course pain medications, both prescription and over the counter. Foreign bodies such as toys and toy parts, coins, thermometers, and like pretty much anything. Like the one that freaks me out are magnets.
Yeah,
those are really, really bad.
Yeah.
And then of course you have like rash creams, vitamins, supplements, antihistamines. Or you could go outside and do the pesticides and plants and all sorts of things, for adults. But that was for children mostly. And then for adults, common poison exposures include pain meds, both prescription or not, sedatives, hypnotics, antipsychotics, antidepressants. So they could be SSRIs or SNRIs, cardio drugs, cleaning substances, alcohols, pesticides. And then, like we had said earlier, like bites, and they could be from ticks, spiders, bees, etc., snakes, all the things. And then if not, then it could be anticonvulsants, and then also cosmetics and personal care products. So all in all, poison control is very essential. Okay, for public health, it really is. It's a great help for public health, both in
my world,
your world, and then for the public world. It really, really is. So expert advice and assistance in cases of poisoning is really, really, helpful. Mm-hmm. It contributes significantly to the prevention and diagnosis and management of poisonings, while also playing a key role in public education and the surveillance of chemical exposures, because that's the other thing. It's not only about calling either a doctor or somebody civilly calling about, hey, this is happening. It's also how they are able to say, hey, these amount of pills can only be put in this bottle. We need to secure this bottle or this med in such and such way because of X, Y, and Z. So they are really, really integral in all of these things, you know?
All right, guys. So here's a little bit of information on poison control so everyone knows where to go and who to call. So 1-800-222-1222. That's going to be the hotline, okay, for the U.S. Or you can go to www.poison.org.
Because they do have that online resource now. So.
Yeah. And then in Canada, it's going to be 1-844-POISON-X or 764-7669. In the UK, for general public, the poison information is not directly provided. Instead, they're advised to contact the NHS 111 in England and in Scotland, or the NHS Direct Wales on the 111. Or in Northern Ireland, contact the local GP or pharmacist, okay? So health professionals can contact the National Poisons Information Services. In Europe in general, the European Union has various poison centers across its member states, each with its own contact number. So specific numbers in European countries, individuals should refer to local resources. So wherever you're going to go travel, I think it's a good idea to just kind of know like where your nearest hospital is. If you have an event, like who should you call? Yeah. What's the emergency number?
Yep.
And then in Australia, the national number for poison information is 131126, and that is also available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
And I kind of kept it to our demographic.
Yeah.
Because, thank you, Australians, Europeans, UK, Canada, and of course, the US listeners, because you guys are awesome, and I'm looking at you guys. I see
Julie Caesar.
I see everything, and you guys, I'll bring you guys up because you listen to us.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Thanks, guys.
So thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. I hope you guys liked it. If you liked this one, check out our Patreon. Because we have a lot of really, really, really good episodes on our Patreon. And you be supporting us and helping us produce more of these. Yeah. So that's patreon.com/Funny Medicine Podcast. Find us on all forms of social media. Yeah. Okay, so Instagram, TikTok, all Meta, Facebook, whatever, etc. And then Twitter and and YouTube, of course. If you're watching this thing,
And Threads.
And Threads, the real MVPs of all of this. You guys have been amazing. Anyway, so we'll catch you in the next one.
Bye, guys.
Bye.